Let's take a groovy trip back to 1973, where the pop culture scene was hotter than a disco dance floor. No, not that song. Picture this: bell bottoms, funky hairstyles, and the rise of disco music that had everyone shaking their booties. On a summer, and the Bee Gees were like the kings and queens of the charts, making people worldwide bust out their best moves. It was a fever, the disco fever. But wait, there's more. Movies were making waves too. We had The Exorcist, a film that scared the pants off people and made them question their choice of bedtime reading. A cultural touchstone that took us back to the good old days of cruising and rock and roll. These flicks weren't just about entertainment. They also reflected the social and political vibes of the time. Now, let's talk aliens. Yep, you heard it right. In the midst of all this craziness, the idea of alien abductions started to wiggle its way into people's minds. Stories of folks claiming they were snatched by extraterrestrial beings started popping up. Books, documentaries, and movies like Close Encounters of the Third Kind fueled this fascination. The 870s were all about exploring the mysteries of the universe and maybe finding some cosmic buddies along the way. When Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker Jr. arrived at the sheriff's department in Pascagoula, Mississippi, they were frantic. They told authorities they'd just been abducted by aliens. Each had a puncture wound in one arm. Police tried to catch them in a lie, but it didn't work. Both men later passed polygraph tests. In June 2019, the riverbank where the men said the close encounter happened got an historical marker, calling it one of the best documented cases of alien abduction ever. After decades of avoiding media attention, Parker was there for the dedication that day. Charlie, being 42 at the time of abduction in 1973, had already passed away back in 2011. That story being from the Washington Post, that is. Hi there and welcome to the Dr. Creepy Show. Today we'll be talking about the 1973 Pascagoula UFO Abduction, an unforgettable encounter. But before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe. It may be a small click for you, but for us, it really means a lot.
I have such sights to show you.
October 11th, 1973, Calvin Parker had his first and only day working at Walker Shipyard. He was a 19-year-old welder while his companion, Charlie, was 42. After Calvin bought a new car, he was driving them back to Charlie's apartment when Charlie suggested they go fishing that night. Excited about the idea, they grabbed their fishing gear from Charlie's place and bought some bait before heading out. Since Calvin wasn't familiar with the area, he needed directions as they drove to the fishing spot near Highway 90. It wasn't a remote location, as they even passed a no entry sign, which Calvin mentioned. However, Charlie assured him not to worry, as he often went there. Once they parked the car, they started fishing in one spot but had to move as they were getting bitten by insects. They discovered an old pier from an abandoned shipyard and decided to fish from there. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker were fishing on the banks of the Pascagoula River in Mississippi. As the sun began to set, they noticed an unusual whirring sound coming from behind them.
Myself had planned on going fishing that evening after work. And after we had went home and got our tackle, of course, and went down to the river. We tried several places, and we came back up by to the old Saltpeter shipyard, and I was sitting on an old pier fishing out into the river. And I don't know whether what really attracted my attention, but I heard a hissing-like sound, and when I turned and looked behind me, there was some kind of craft that was, it was probably 18 inches or a foot off of the ground, just hovering there.
Turning around, they saw an otherworldly craft hovering just a few feet above the ground. Shocked and frightened, they stood frozen as three humanoid creatures emerged from the craft and approached them. The encounter. Hickson and Parker described the creatures as roughly 5 feet tall with gray, wrinkled skin and crab-like pincers for hands. These beings levitated the men onto the craft, where they were subjected to a series of medical examinations, including being probed with a strange device. Throughout the encounter, the men claimed to have felt a sense of paralysis and were unable to resist or escape.
But anyway, these things, we just went right on to the craft through that door into that bright light, went into what was probably the middle of a room or compartment, and it appeared to me that it was round poles, and they just released me. I couldn't move anything but my eyes. I could move my eyes. I don't know why I could move them and couldn't move anything else. But anyway, they released me, and a few moments, I suppose it was, but out directly in front of me, something came out of the wall that it appeared to me that just a big, I always refer to it as an eye, a big pupil in an eye. And it moved up in front of my face, and it remained there for a few minutes, moments, I suppose. And it went downward and went under me, and I'm assuming it went up the backside because it came back up over my head, came back in front of me, and it remained there for a few more, probably a minute or two or more. And it moved back into the light in the wall and disappeared.
According to Calvin, the beings were approximately 5 feet in height. They lacked a neck with their heads protruding directly from their bodies. On each side of them and at the front, there were sharp protrusions. Their arms were somewhat elongated, ending in mitten-like or pincer-like extremities. Their legs, which didn't show any movement, seemed fused together, terminating in stump-like feet. The texture of their skin or outer layer was akin to that of an elephant, gray and wrinkled. These beings emitted no smell, made no sound, and communicated nothing. They were perceived as biological automatons. At least that's the conclusion drawn by Charlie and Calvin. A female-like entity appeared to be the leader. As Calvin recounted, he lay on a table while a repulsive being stood still nearby, silent and motionless. It was the female entity who gestured towards it, triggering it back into action. After what felt like an eternity, the entities returned Hickson and Parker to the riverbank. Overwhelmed and terrified, the men sought help from the local authorities. They were initially met with skepticism, but a polygraph test administered by the sheriff's office indicated that they genuinely believed their story. The case gained widespread attention, drawing the interest of both believers and skeptics alike. The media frenzy surrounding the Pascagoula UFO abduction was unprecedented. News outlets, both local and national, covered the story extensively, elevating it to the forefront of public attention. The incident captivated the nation's imagination, and the media played a crucial role in shaping the public's perception of the event. The Pascagoula case attracted a wide range of reactions from the media. Some journalists approached the story with skepticism, questioning the credibility of Hickson and Parker's claims. So let's start after the two men are interviewed by the cops and were secretly recorded. But surprise, surprise, both Charlie and Calvin were sticking to their story. So when it was uncovered, the authorities had unorthodoxly put a recording device while the two men were left alone, assuming that they would spill the beans about their alien abduction being a hoax. Within retrospect, this tactic seemed to help give credibility to their testimony. Here is Sheriff Diamond responding to the alleged alien abduction to the press.
This same object that was supposed to have picked these two men up was spotted about 45 minutes earlier up near the Van Cleve area. It was also spotted by 2 or 3 people in Pascagoula.
In other words, Sheriff Diamond, you've had, I know we talked to Deputy Glenn Ryder earlier this morning. There have been quite a few reports of this UFO in our area, and approximately at the same time that these two men have stated that they were taken aboard.
That's very true. They even give us a description of the creatures, whichever we might want to call them. It was aboard the craft. They give a good description of them. They seemed to be around 5 foot tall. They were real wrinkled and had sharp ears, sharp nose, and their mouth was very near the end of the nose.
They sought alternative explanations, suggesting that the men might have misinterpreted a natural phenomenon or concocted an elaborate hoax. However, there were also journalists who approached the story with an open mind, recognizing the impact it had on Hickson and Parker's lives. They delved into the details of the encounter, interviewed witnesses, and consulted experts in various fields. These journalists presented the case as a significant and potentially groundbreaking event that deserved serious consideration. The media coverage of the Pascagoula UFO abduction sparked intense debates among the public. Believers in extraterrestrial life found validation in the detailed accounts provided by Hickson and Parker. They saw the incident as proof of alien visitation and the existence of intelligent life beyond Earth. Skeptics, on the other hand, remained unconvinced, pointing out inconsistencies in the witnesses' testimonies and suggesting alternative explanations. Despite the controversy, the Pascagoula UFO abduction left a lasting legacy. The incident became one of the most well-known and studied cases in the field of ufology. It inspired further research and investigations into alien encounters, influencing the development of theories and hypotheses about extraterrestrial life. For Hickson and Parker, the media attention brought both positive and negative consequences. On one hand, it provided them with a platform to share their story and find support within the UFO community. On the other hand, they faced criticism, ridicule, and even threats from skeptics and those who considered the incident a hoax. The media attention took a toll on their personal and professional lives, leaving a lasting impact. Decades later, the Pascagoula UFO abduction continues to be discussed and analyzed by enthusiasts, researchers, and skeptics alike. The incident remains a subject of fascination and debate, attracting attention from various corners of society. It has become an integral part of UFO folklore, standing as a testament to the enduring mystery surrounding the possibility of extraterrestrial encounters. In conclusion, the 1973 Pascagoula UFO abduction stands as a remarkable and controversial event that continues to captivate the imagination of UFO enthusiasts. The media's coverage played a significant role in shaping public perception, sparking debates, and leaving a lasting legacy. Whether one believes in the authenticity of the encounter or not, the Pascagoula case remains an integral part of the UFO lore, leaving an indelible mark on the history of alien encounters.
Dr. Creepy.